This is Red Ice Radio. From the apparent to the esoteric. RedIceCreations.com.
Good to have you with us today. I hope you have been enjoying the summer solstice and the midsummer, even if you're not celebrating or paying tribute to these things. But we're glad to have you with us today here on Red Ice Radio as we continue to bring you more exciting radio on the most fascinating topics. My name is Henrik Palmgren. If you are joining us for the first time, RedIceCreations.com is our website. We have a year of radio available for free. Stream or download directly from the website and listen at your convenience. Today we have Max Igan joining us from Queensland in Australia. Max is behind the website thecrowhouse.com, and he covers, much like us, a vast array of different topics spanning from government corruption to the mysteries of our ancient past. Max is with us today to share his perspective from Australia, as it seems to be a testing ground, together with many other countries, for the agenda of the power-hungry cabal of global centralization. Oz is banning everything from herbs to guns, and we're asking why. The theme of our program today is corruption, the nature of reality, why things are the way they are, where we are heading, where the philosophy of the elites is coming from, and how far back in time this goes. Max is seeing the strip mining of our planet taking place. So, what's it all about? Welcome to Red Ice Radio, Max Igan. It is great to have you with us on the program, and it's great to finally talk to you. How are you today, Max?
I'm very well, Henrik. Thank you for having me on the show. Big fan of the show. It's nice to finally be on, actually.
Absolutely. We've been in contact before, and I've been aware of your work as well for a long time. And why don't we begin just talking a little bit about that, Max, for our listeners that might not be familiar with the Crow House. Tell us just briefly about the website, about some of the things that you are doing over there in Oz, and where you were going with it, so to speak.
Well, the website kind of started off as a site that I just used to put my artwork on, actually, and it developed into a truth site. Once I started putting out films and doing a radio show, which I'm doing now, I kind of figured, well, I've got it there, I may as well use it and put the truth on it. I mean, I kind of felt guilty not doing it that way, to be honest. So it just kind of happened by accident, really. It just kind of developed into what it is. I mean, the Crow House is quite a strange name for the website when you consider the content of the site, but that's just the way it ended up. Just the universe just sort of led me in that direction. But what the site is all about, I do a radio show that goes across America, and it's broadcast on the internet, called Surviving the Matrix, and that's on AmericanVoiceRadio.com. It's also broadcast out across the nation. And I make films. I put 5 films on the website, and I just post all my radio shows on the website, and I link to news articles and put articles on there that I think are relevant, and also to films and documentaries that I think people need to see. There isn't a lot of content on there. I mean, there is over 600 pages, but when you look at other truth sites, there's not a lot of content on there, but there is stuff that you need to know. I've tried to keep it so it's all essential viewing. If you go into the archives section and look through the archives, it's all stuff that you really need to know to try to understand what's going on in the world. I also put a book up there that I wrote way back in about 2002 or 2004. I think I wrote it between those years, or I finished it between those years. And that was basically on ancient history, just to let people know that everything they've told you about the past isn't necessarily true. And this might suggest that what they're telling you about the present may not be true as well. So I figured that was a good place to start. So I put that there, and I put that up there for free. I do everything on the website for free because I believe that people need this information, and that's why I put it up there. And also I think it's very important that people see that I'm not doing it for profit or fame. There's no pictures of myself. I've been kind of played a bit of a game where I can keep my face out of things and just have the voice and see if the words resonate with people. And hopefully, because they don't have a face to put it to, they can project some of the information onto themselves, and it might make them think a little bit. And when they go to the website, they find that there's nothing to buy. It's just information. So I've tried to sort of do it from that approach, and it seems to be working. People seem to be listening, and it is very humbling that they do, and it's very gratifying that they do.
Absolutely. And I mean, how have things been for you in terms of the perspective from Australia? I don't know how much in the beginning, so to speak, you covered from around the world, if you will, but was it necessarily something in Oz that kind of I don't know, nudged you in this direction overall, Max?
Well, really, I've sort of felt that things aren't quite right since I was a child. I just didn't really think things were right. When I started researching what was wrong with the place, I sort of come across the bloodlines, and you go down the same rabbit holes that everybody goes through, and then you see it all around you in your own country. And I started noticing what's happening here, and we've got this whole geometric thing going on in Canberra. It looks like the pyramid with the capstone actually attached, and there's all these signs everywhere, and you look through and you find that every Australian Prime Minister has been a Freemason. And you think, okay, well, it all ties in here as well, and obviously we're a British colony. And you start to realise that Australia gets used as a bit of a testing ground for a lot of things that go on. Australia is the first country to have been completely disarmed ever since World War II, since they disarmed Nazi Germany. So that's an interesting sort of a thing going on there. You can get a gun, you can get a shooting licence as long as you follow all these guidelines and belong to shooting clubs and all this sort of stuff. But they've taken a lot of firearms, taken all semi-automatics and all this stuff away from the people, so that's very interesting. They try to bring in smart cards and all that sort of stuff here first. They're working very hard to ban all plants that contain certain substances like DMT. They actually want to ban Australia's national emblem, the wattle.
That's right.
And they want to ban the acacia tree and all these natural plants. And I believe this actually goes a lot deeper than trying to stamp out drugs. I don't think DMT has anything to do with drugs. I think it's actually an interface. I think this goes very deep. It's actually a very, very deep rabbit hole. A lot of the stuff I talk about on the radio show, I talk about consciousness, and I talk about the fact that we have many higher senses, that we can interact with completely different perspectives of reality that we don't actually even know exist. And DMT is the interface that enables people to do that. And the plants that contain this substance, they don't actually contain DMT. They contain a molecule that can be manipulated and turned into DMT. Well, what they seem to essentially contain is an antenna. And I believe, and the research has led me to believe, that this is the antenna that reality basically uses to interface with itself. This is the language of plants, the language that animals use to talk to plants. The animal instincts that we talk about, these aren't necessarily instincts. These are communication using higher senses. I believe the human body is capable of these higher senses, but we're kept in a state where we just simply don't perceive the rest of reality. We seem to perceive a very, very narrow bandwidth of reality, because DMT is actually in our body all the time. It's actually active in our body all the time. And we should be producing vastly more amounts of it than what we are at the moment. So this has been done purposely through our DNA and all sorts of stuff. But now that people are waking up to it and they're thinking, oh my God, people are finding out that they can do this, we need to ban all these plants to remove this connection that we have with nature.
It's incredible how they've managed to pull this off. And a little bit later here, I want to ask you about what you believe is behind this, I guess, more from one sense, a psychological point of view, or the mentality of the people that are actually, enforcing this, if you will. But how do you think Australia has been turned into a testing ground, if you will, and what is some of the other testing, if you will, that you see going on? Disarmament that's a big one, of course. Starting to ban herbs and things like that, detaching humanity from nature in one way as well. But what else do you see is going on down in Oz, Max?
Well, people are kept very apathetic in Australia. We really are. I mean, they're wonderful people, and if they're aroused, then they can be very staunch and stand up for each other. But we're kept very apathetic. The amount of fluoride in the water, the toxins and the chemtrails. The chemtrails here, I don't know, like I see chemtrails all over the world, but the chemtrails here, sometimes they're very, very small, just like a tiny slice in the sky, almost, 100 yards long or something, not very big at all. Then they swell out into these huge cloud banks and this haze that just covers everywhere. It's almost like we've watched the technology improve. So these are only tiny